Hey, this video is going to be about like how I've adopted this, it's not a new perspective, it's a very old perspective that people have, and I'm probably just formulating it in a different way than what already has existed for centuries. I'm positive people have said life is like, I've heard people say life is like a play, life is like a dream, life is like a game, life is like a insert your belief or thing that you do here. It can be compared to a lot of different things, but just comparing that to a game for me, I want to talk about how it's affecting me, how I've been thinking about it, just to kind of vocalize my thoughts. For you, whoever's listening, maybe 20 people listen to this. I hope 20 people listen to this, or whatever. So one of the things that I have come to realize, and again, this is keeping the premise, let's say the premise of the game of life is to experience. Let me just say it like that. And let's say also, maybe this is just my game of life and how I'm viewing it and how I'm trying to play it at the moment, is that there is, let's say you can play life on easy mode and you can also play life on hard mode. And I think that no matter what, there will always be moments of ease and always be moments of things being very hard. And there will always be challenges that you can overcome. And I think just like in a game that you travel through, that you play like the whole story to the end, of course there are going to be challenges and obstacles, but just viewing those as opportunities to continue playing the game, opportunities to have new experiences. For example, what one experience that that you might have that you might not like, or an obstacle, is breaking a foot. That just popped into my mind. So let's say you break your foot. Now you've changed, I don't know, the armor or whatever, your avatar, whatever they're playing with a broken foot now. They may be playing with a broken foot, and they may be overweight, and they may be a woman, and they may be from India. Who knows? Like, you're playing life with these different levels of layers. At least that's how I like to consider it. And in some places, depending on the location on the map of the game or the world, you might do better in certain situations than not. This is also just like real life, but just comparing it to a game also helps separate it a little bit to be able to gain more control over your life, if that makes sense. And I think the fun in playing this game is to have as many experiences as possible, no matter good or bad. I would say good or bad are probably irrelevant in this scenario because those are just concepts that we make up. But let's say if the purpose is to have as many experiences as you can, then as you're playing the game, I wouldn't shy away from things that make me uncomfortable in this game. Unless I want to. Like, there's a lot of conscious choice we can have in this game of life over what experiences we have. We may have experiences where we want to feel trusted. We may have experiences we want to feel like we are in danger. The same like adrenaline rush we get from like watching a scary movie. We're not actually experiencing that in real life, but we're kind of living vicariously through those characters. I think this is the same thing that we're doing in real life, but take yourself not too seriously, but just view yourself as one of the many characters in this game that we're all playing. And the same way, I would say we have an emotional spectrum where, I don't know, maybe I put happy and sadness on the other ends, but it probably goes multi directions. But whatever, like the emotional spectrum that we have, there are so many different emotions we can feel at once, even simultaneously, which makes it's really beautiful when you think about it. Even though you may not like heartbreak, just the fact that you're able to experience that heartbreak is very, very nice. And I know that probably sounds really crazy to a lot of people. Even to myself a couple of years ago, if someone would have said that, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would I want to experience any type of pain like that? But in the moment, maybe it doesn't seem great. Maybe it seems painful, but it's still like you get to have that experience. And oftentimes in life, there are some things that are out of our control, but there's also a lot of things that are also in our control. And whether we can control it or not, we can still just sit back and observe it as an experience. I would say that sometimes, like now when I'm talking to people and I'm listening to my body, how my body's reacting to them, and I've become very aware of the emotions that I circle through in a day. Even in 1 hour, it's really crazy how I'll be on social media and I'll see something that'll make me laugh, or I'll get a message from a friend and see something that maybe makes me concerned about them, or I'll get a work message and then I'll feel perhaps a little bit stressed out. and just paying attention to my emotions nonstop throughout the day, it makes it such an interesting experience when you are, I don't know, treating life as a game, because you're like, okay, now I get to experience stress. Now I get to experience discomfort. Now I get to experience love. Now I get to experience, I don't know, bliss, euphoria, or I get to experience devastation. Like, it circles through. And what I should say as well is that I don't necessarily think one emotion is inherently bad or one emotion is inherently better than the other. That's not something I believe. Maybe there's some that we want to happen, or some that are, I don't know, not conducive to society's greater good that we create ourselves anyway. But also, sorry, another thing, because my mind is like all over the place, because I only wrote down like just a couple of bullet points of things I wanted to mention. The other thing is that when you're playing a game, you tend to do crazier stuff in the game that you wouldn't do in real life, because you recognize the game is not permanent. Like, nothing, we may say it's not real, and it's not real, but at the same time, that's tied to like not real, meaning like not having real effects. It's not permanent. Anything you do in the game will eventually, when the game gets unplugged or memories erased, it's gone. And realizing that life is the same exact way, and it's helped shift my perspective, because now I'm not thinking about, like, I say, okay, who is Kevon? Like, I'm here, but I'm not permanent. Like, nobody's permanent. And we all know this, but I think for myself, it's hard to live like you're not permanent, because you're making decisions for tomorrow, for next week. And I'm the type of person who like really likes to plan my life years in advance if possible. I've come to the conclusion today that I would like to try this. I don't know if I can. I would like to try living my life without actually planning anything. Like, the next couple of years, have no life plan whatsoever. Maybe have a couple of desires and whatnot, but have no life plan, and instead just taking everything day by day. Because at the end of the day, I cannot predict what happens. I could plan and then I could die. I could plan, I could have a heart attack, get hit by a car, somebody else die, then I have to move somewhere else. Like, even with the best planning in the world, nothing is guaranteed. Maybe it makes my chances higher to plan, but there's still no guarantee. And I think that's the baseline to like remove a lot of stress from life, is just to live day by day. And if I live each day as if I want to work towards that goal, naturally it will happen. Like, if I want to become very fluent in a language, I can make a 9-month plan of studying, or I can just live every day as if that goal is today's goal. Does that make sense? But yeah, that's one of the things about about games and life that I'm drawing the parallels, just that nothing is permanent. At least that helps me. I don't know if that might not help other people. The other thing that crosses my mind a lot now is just the ability, like how I mentioned, like you can put on armor in a game, but the ability to become whoever you want is very, very interesting. I heard, maybe it was Alan Watts in a video yesterday or today, say something like, every version of yourself exists, you just have to pick which one you want to be. Something like that. I know I'm butchering what he said, but it really resonated with me, because I thought about, like, if I wanted to become, let's say, I don't know, a senator or a doctor or a lawyer, something that's very far out of my reach at the moment, it would take me a lot of time. Like, I would put in a lot of effort, I'd put a lot of energy, like I'd have to do a lot to reach these goals. But that's because I'm viewing myself as, how do I say that? I don't know how to explain that, but like, let me compare it to a game to make it sort of make sense. And that in a game, if I wanted to become something or change, perhaps in the game I'll have to put in a certain number of playing hours, or win a certain number of coins, or do a certain number of side quests or main quests. And through that, I would eventually reach the goal of whatever I want to become or happen in that game. And I would say in life, it's that same exact way, where we have access. And maybe things might be a lot harder because some of us are playing on hard mode. As long as you're willing to put in the hours, you can absolutely do it. And I don't know, for me, it's I don't know if I would say inspiring is the word, but it's very encouraging when I think not too much about myself and kind of remove myself from the situation and just see it as, what experience am I looking to have right now? What experience would I like to have in the future? How can I get there? And then not put too much pressure on myself, but just, okay, I'm right here. Let me play this part for right now. Whether it's the first day of school, treat that as it is, while worrying about the second day, or the third year in school, treat that how it is and don't think about too much later on. That, for me, it's encouraging, just the idea that, yeah, a lot of different versions of me can exist, and I can choose whatever I want at whatever time. Like, if I want to be bald, I can be the bald avatar. If I want a bunch of tattoos on my face, I can do that. It's, maybe there will be consequences, because, you know, in games there are always consequences. There's like a trade-off sometimes, and a lot of the times in our society, the trade-off is dealing with the fucking idiots around us. Or that, you know, if you want to, let's say you're a trans person, you want to transition, and, you know, people in your community are really ignorant and they don't know the difference between sex and gender, that's a trade-off. But if you want to do that, you absolutely can. Like, you can do whatever you want, mostly, or figure out a way to even, you know, get help from other people. And then the thing that got me when I started to think about this, because this is like, it's not really moral related, but cheat codes or shortcuts, because games have cheat codes where you can bypass stuff and just move ahead. And some people might not like that. They might think it's unfair, but is it though? Because, like, if it's just a game and nothing is permanent, does it really matter? Yes, it may affect other people perhaps as well, but those people are also playing to have some type of experience, if we consider experiences to be neutral and just get joy from having experience itself. Then I don't think it would be that wrong if somebody were to use cheat codes in a game. The other thing I would say is probably that with this framework of thinking, I find it easier to make decisions or think, kind of also, I guess, in some like Eastern religions, maybe they refer to this as, you know, sitting more as the observer rather than the player. But just doing this, I feel like I have not a lot of control in all moments, just when it crosses my mind, when I realize it, control over the emotions that I feel, where somebody will say something to me that's, you know, very political, that would typically get me maybe enraged or a bit bothered, and I can see them enraged and bothered, and at that moment, live now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is the experience that they want to have right now. This is what they're choosing to have. This piece of information would typically make me feel this way. So at this point, I can choose, do I want to engage with this and also experience that? Or do I not want to experience this emotion with that person? There's a lot of control, I would say, I feel now, more so than I did before. And I don't know why that this has changed so much. I'm not sure what's happened in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. But again, yeah, I think the purpose of this game of life is to be played, and it is to experience everything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, if that's even a thing, but I don't want to discount it. Definitely mentally, if I didn't just say that. But just, yeah, just the fact that I can put myself as, I am Kevon, but I'm also experiencing this through Kevon's body, if that makes sense. So I'm walking through the world with Kevon's height, Kevon's taste palette, Kevon's his vision, and this is the character I have built, and now it's my job as a player to think of what experiences would I like to have in life, would I like to fall in love, would I like to get married, would I like to get divorced, would I like to set a house on fire and become an arsonist. Like, whatever this experience is that I'm looking for, everything is within reach, good or bad. And again, for me, good and bad are very irrelevant in this game. It's just to have experiences, because also I think that, like with all things, you have to have opposite things on the spectrum to understand what they are, because good cannot exist without bad. So in order to have experienced every emotion, there should be every event possible as well to make these emotions relevant. So the unfortunate part of this game, and it's just called reality, is that you will have people who are, let's say, bigots or racists or violent or abusers or rapists or like the worst type of people you can think of. All of these things exist in this game in theory, but they have to exist. Somebody has to experience it, which is very unfortunate for that player, because obviously I'm not saying that they necessarily want to get abused or want to like, no, I'm not saying that at all. So I don't want to get that confused. What I am saying is that these things that we personally do not like on an individual level, they would have to exist in this game. And knowing that they exist just helps you play a little bit better. Because like, for example, when you're in a game and you, what's it called? Your character in the game gets hurt, you just keep playing or you work around it. And the same thing is said in real life. Even though in real life, it's much easier to give up, however way you want to give up. I forgot what I was saying actually. I was going on a tangent and I'm distracted by this piece of lint on my table. But anyway, these are my thoughts on how life appears to be very much like a dream. Not like a dream, like a game in many different ways. Also, I would say it's like a dream too, but in a very, very different sense. I was thinking about making a separate video on this because again, lucid dreaming is my hobby, but like in the dream, I'm comparing life to both in my personal life. So the dream aspect of it, I would say, is that I don't want to say like the illusion of separation, but the way when you're in a dream and you talk to a dream character, that person you're talking to, you know that's not you, obviously, but also that is a part of you that you're technically talking to, which is very, very weird. But in the dream, it doesn't feel like you're talking to yourself, because when I'm in a dream, I'm talking to a dream character, I have no idea what's going on in that dream character's head. I can't predict what they are saying. Like, there seems to be a clear separation between me and that character, or even two other characters that are interacting with each other in my dream and I'm watching them. Again, a clear separation between me and these two characters. But when I wake up, I realize, oh no, that was just me all along, just separating myself or dividing myself, different parts of me interacting with each other, to create this experience. Because also in a dream, you can kind of experience things from yourself and from another point of view, for some people, not everyone. But also like just taking that perspective on life, where the people that I talk to, kind of viewing them as myself and treating them as myself, and kind of trying to just remove that separation a bit more. So even when I see people that are what everyone would call horrible people, and they are horrible, let me think of, I don't know, I insert serial killer name here. If someone said, hey, Kimon, you're like this person, before my initial reaction would be like, no, absolutely not. But now I'm not really bothered by that, because again, I think all of us are human, we're all connected, we're all capable of feeling the same emotions. Our actions might be different, but we are very much similar we're more similar in ways that we typically admit. And so now that I'm seeing myself in people that I typically would never see myself in before, not that I'm giving sympathy to them, I wouldn't say that, but just feeling a sense of connectedness between me and every single person, as if this were some type of lucid dream where I am discussing things with dream characters who seem very, very different from me. And I would say in this life is a dream comparison, the fun, just like a game, is also in the experience that you get to have. Because like in a dream, a lot of us dream passively where things happen to us. Very few of us, and very rarely do we have dreams that are very lucid, where we are aware that we're dreaming and that we're able to take control, because we're kind of asleep in the dream. But the moment you wake up in the dream, it becomes extremely fun, because you can do things that you've never done before, like fly, or I don't know, retaste foods that aren't accessible to you, and things feel very, I don't know, tactile or real. And just these two ideas, the game one and the dream one together, has drastically changed the way that I've approached life and approached conversations. Again, that's just for this moment now, because maybe the experience that I'm, let's say, choosing to have now is one that's very calm, very reflective. is what I would call my current experience in the game of life. But it's very much so, or it's very well possible that maybe next year after the new year comes, I can consciously, and this is what I mean, the good part is that when you play it like this, you're consciously making decisions, and it's not, life isn't happening to you, but you are creating the experiences that you want in life. If I want an experience with a bit more thrill in it in life, I can absolutely do that. I can start doing things that will give me that thrill in life. I don't even have to wait, but it's just when you are not very, just a bit more aware of how you are feeling in the moment, what you are doing, what you would like, how people around you are feeling in the moment live, and very not letting your emotions happen to you, but selecting the emotions you want to have. And this is not emotional intelligence, but I would call it maybe emotional control. I don't think a lot of people in the world typically have that, which is why emotions tend to get the best of us, because we can't, and like, obviously it happens to me too all the time. I'm not saying that I'm good at this, but just there are certain moments throughout the day where I'm consciously choosing the emotion that I would like to have. And that's something I've never done before. And this feeling it's a great feeling for me, I must say. And I'm also, if I'm not choosing it and it is happening to me, then the perspective that I have is, okay, I get to experience this feeling that's negative for right now. But keeping in mind that it's not permanent, I'm not too worried about it. Because even now that I think about it, I haven't had anybody die close to me in my family, but I have gone to a lot of funerals. And even though when you lose someone that you love, they die, and let's say you feel sad, devastated, depressed, these feelings cycle throughout the day. Maybe they're an underlying feeling, but there are still moments where you can smile, you can still be happy, you can still laugh at a memory. If you pay attention that somebody may be in a really sad state, but there are other emotions that they can cycle through at the same time. Because again, you can feel more than one thing at once, which is the great thing about this experience that we get to have. So yeah, that's what I'm just saying, is that I have been just a bit more aware of what I'm feeling throughout the day and selecting the emotions that, not selecting, recognizing the first emotion that kind of appears and like pausing for a second and saying, do I want to feel this? Yes. Do I want to feel this? No. And if I do, then accept it and like embrace that feeling. And if I don't want to feel it, still accept it and embrace it, because that's literally the beauty of life. It's just like, the good and bad. I think sometimes we get caught up in the idea that we believe that life has to be fair, life has to be good. And yeah, of course, I know we would all want that, but that's so unrealistic because life is inherently unfair. There's nothing fair about life. And I think also we get caught up very much so in the programming that we are under. I can speak for myself. Coming as a Jehovah's Witness, there was a lot of deprogramming that I had to do, things I had to unlearn, habits, mindsets, beliefs. But even now, there's still probably more that I'm not even aware of that's so deeply programmed into me that I don't know, because that's how society is. Because if I think about the first humans, not talking about from a religious Adam and Eve or whatever type, but just like the first humans that ever existed up until now, how many things we have created and made up, just parts of government that we've created, or family arrangements and gender roles and styles of clothing and even language, or ways to cook. Like, we have created rules and structure and organized things and planned, and these things change throughout time. So like, also in this game, I get to live in this time period where things work this way at a certain time. So like, I have to play according to like the rules of where I am. But let's say somebody 200 years ago that maybe looked like me, they were playing this game on extra hard mode because in the US they might have been a slave. Like, it's unfortunate, but somebody, like, it literally has to happen. Like, yeah, it's just, I know it's unfortunate, but there are some things I feel like, again, I don't approve of genocide, but there will always be evil people in the game. There will always be people challenging you. There will always be, every game has a bad guy. And in real life, we got a bunch of them. And they also have power, and they also have money, and they steal from the poor. Like, this is, you can't have good without the bad. You can't experience every emotion unless you have all of these events that can also happen to give you these feelings as well. I mean, ideally, we would all like to play in easy mode and just relax, but when you stop, how can I say that? When you stop getting caught up in the rules that people have given you as a society and start playing for yourself, then it becomes a lot more fun. And when you just realize that you have the power to do whatever you want, then it becomes a lot more fun, because maybe you want to do something small, like get a mohawk. Maybe the people in your society are, very much against that, but you still have that choice and you can do it. Maybe there's a trade-off. Again, we're dealing with people who are terrible sometimes in the world. But yeah, just being able to control my own experience has been very eye-opening for me in my day-to-day life. And so I just recommend it to anyone else who's looking for something different out of life. Treat it like a game. Take it seriously, but not too seriously, when keeping in mind that there's nothing that you are going to do that is going to last forever. Like, not even the impact or the effect is going to last forever. At most, it's going to last, I would say, the lifetime of the people around you. So let's say 100 years, or if you're doing something real fucked up, maybe a couple of generations, but like nothing is going to last that long that you do. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy life, live it, try to be productive. I can understand how someone might hear this and think, oh, I can go on a shooting spree. No, I don't. I absolutely do not mean that. But I think anyone whose mind naturally goes there and is like seriously considering it, that's the type of person they are anyway. And I don't think those type of people watch my videos. So yeah, just, power on. All right, that's all. I gotta go. Peace.